This is Mari Robeson of Love Lulu Creative, a podcast that supports and celebrates artists and creative entrepreneurs while giving back to the community in a unique and meaningful way. This is episode number 40. Can you believe that? Goodness. And today's episode's really fun. I have a mother-daughter team on. I have Rhyan Townsend and her mother, Tenli Van Rozeboom. Rhyan Townsend has started a company called House of the Rozetree. It's a cruelty-free luxury makeup line. She's also a stylist and she does all kinds of bridal events. So she's super interesting to talk to. And then equally as interesting is her mother, Tenli Van Rozeboom, who has now just launched recently, Rozetree Botanicals, which is a natural luxury skincare line. It's all handcrafted and vegan. And boy, oh boy, did I learn a lot of stuff today about what goes into makeup and skincare. And it was really educational episode, but also very interesting if you've ever thought about what it might be like to launch a product line and market it and get it out there to the world. This is a very helpful episode to listen to. And I also really love the dynamic between the mother and the daughter, and they're in sister companies in a sense, and the way that they support each other is really quite beautiful. So I'm sure you're really going to enjoy this episode. And if you are enjoying these episodes, please hit the subscribe button. It really does help with the algorithm to help get more people to find these episodes. And they're just loaded with such good information from all of these working creatives. And I really want the world to know about them because they're all wonderful people. So hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends. And stay tuned now for a really fun episode with the very talented Rhyan Townsend and her equally talented and lovely mother, Tenli Van Rozeboom. Hi, Rhyan. Hi, Tenli. I'm so excited to have you guys on the podcast today.
Thank you for having us. Excited to be here.
This is really going to be super fun. So Rhyan is the daughter of Tenli, and you both are in business together. And I met Tenli. You're my amazing massage therapist who has helped me so much, especially after my car accident. And I'm really missing you right now.
Oh, thank you.
And you were starting this product line, which I find fascinating. And you were telling me about your daughter, Rhyan. So I went over and I looked at Rhyan and what you do. And I see you're a fellow Cal Poly alumni. And you started your own vegan makeup line. So these two things together are super interesting to talk about. This is a really up and coming creative business. And I want to start with you, Rhyan. So after Cal Poly, where did you go? What was your
So yeah, after I graduated from Cal Poly, I definitely did the what am I doing with my life moment and did a lot of soul searching. I ended up going to cosmetology school, got my cosmetology license, and I've been working as a hair and makeup artist specializing in bridal for about 12 years. And maybe 6 or 7 years ago, one of my bridal clients was a cosmetic chemist. And that's what introduced me to the world of formulation and just like opened my eyes to the possibility of even being able to create my own products and how that would work. And
one of your clients here on the Central Coast does that?
No, she was from LA.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. A lot of my brides, the coast is such a popular destination wedding place that a lot of times, I'd say like 90% of my brides are not from the area.
Really?
So, yeah. So I get to meet a lot of cool people. Yeah.
That's very, very interesting. So I was wondering, because getting into creating your own makeup line is a major undertaking. So tell me about the different products that you have in your makeup line. What did you start with?
We started with lip products, which is still what we primarily have. So I have lipsticks, liquid velvet matte lipsticks, lip glazes, which is like a fancy word for lip gloss, waterproof lip liners. And then in November, we introduced an under eye brightener. And then we also have a translucent blotting powder.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to go back to Cal Poly. What was your major at Cal Poly?
My major was broadcast journalism. And so when you apply to Cal Poly, you apply under a certain major, which is challenging for some kids when they're 18. And, so I chose that major on basically a process of elimination. Like, okay, what am I good at? So it was public speaking and writing. So I went that route. And then I had an internship with MSNBC during the Michael Jackson trial. And that kind of opened up my eyes to what the job actually was like. It's very different, studying industry as opposed to working in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that was not for me, but continued with the major, got my degree, and
then you decided to go to cosmetology. Okay, I was wondering if the major although having that has probably been very helpful in marketing your brand, I would imagine now.
Oh, yeah, I've used my degree in so many different. Well, I haven't used my degree actually. Nobody in the cosmetology world needed that, but I use the knowledge that I learned, like I do tutorials and I teach a lot of classes. So like my public speaking skills that I've learned, and in broadcast where you're taught to write how you speak. So it's different than if you are a print journalist. So that has come in really helpful. All the video editing and all of that now with, YouTube and Instagram and all of that, I'm actually using all of what I learned in just such a different way than I ever would have expected.
So there you go, Tenli. It was worth sending her to college.
Yeah. My mom actually applied to Cal Poly for me. I didn't know I didn't know anything about Cal Poly. I was like, what? I want to be a farmer. Why would I go to Cal Poly? I just thought they had an ag program. So thanks, Mom.
Seriously, when I went to Cal Poly, San Luis was such a sleepy, tiny little town, and a cow tipping was like a thing. And I came from San Francisco, and I was like, "What the heck?" Mm-hmm. So then you're not originally both of you are not originally from the Central Coast. Is that correct? Where are you from?
We're from Fresno originally.
Oh, okay.
So from the Central Valley, yeah.
So your mom was trying to get you to the coast.
Yes, smart. Well, yeah, I was trying to just get out of Fresno. I kind of really. Yeah, the coast is such a beautiful place to live, and now I've been here for 18 years, so officially half of my life now.
Yeah, it's we're blessed to live in this beautiful place. So, okay, so you take all that, you start your makeup line because of this meeting that you have with this woman. That's really quite fascinating. And how did that process actually look? Like, did you have this time where you met this woman and you were like, hey, let's go into business together? Or were you just like, well, how do I do that? Or how did it simmer for you for a while?
There was actually quite a few years in between where she was my bridal client and I launched it. In between there, I had kids and I was looking for a way to productize my business, because being a service-based business, you only make income when you physically show up to do work. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to just diversify my business and have other sorts of income, especially as I have kids and get older and it's very physically taxing doing hair. So I started listening to a ton of podcasts about more passive income and getting ideas. And that was kind of in the back of my mind that that was an option. And after I had my second daughter, I blame maternity leave for the makeup line, because I just had all this time and inspiration and baby hormones. And I was like, I wonder if I could make my own makeup line. What would that look like? And so it really just snowballed. I did contact the girl. She's still a formulator, but her her company had minimum order quantities that I couldn't meet as such a small person. So a lot of times when manufacturers will have MOQs, so they'll help you formulate a product, but then you have to order, say, like 20,000 units of each color. And this is, I'm all self-funded, so that wasn't really an option. But she did kind of point me in the right direction, and I just did a lot of research, and I would find formulators, have them send me sample products. If I liked the base product of what they had, then I would inquire further, and just interviewed a bunch of people. And it's kind of like a matchmaking, because you need to work together with your formulator to, make the product. And it's really a relationship. So I ended up with my manufacturer and formulator are in Canada. And yeah, so it just kind of snowballed. It was like, I wonder if I could do this. My first step would be getting my resale license. And I got that instantly. And then I was like, well, what would the next step be? So by the time I was done with maternity leave, I had my formulator and was just cooking away.
So it never crossed your mind that, like, oh, wow, I'm jumping to an incredibly competitive field of makeup?
I don't know. I just don't really think like that. I just kind of
That's great. Yeah.
Get an idea. And I mean, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah. Like, it's harder than I ever thought it would be, as everything is. But it's also, I feel so passionate about it. I always, for better or worse, I always make my decisions in life just on a gut feeling. And it's just like, felt like this is what I need to be doing. And I feel so passionate about it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just been a really amazing, challenging experience.
So when you started, were you thinking to yourself, like, I really want this to be all natural ingredients? Or was that something that you got educated on as you were talking to these different formulators?
Yeah, I didn't know a ton about like ingredients. And so I've learned all of that along the way. What's most important to me about the makeup line, just as a makeup artist, is that it performs well and it will last all day. So the line it's cruelty free. It's not vegan. We do have beeswax in 2 of the products. So those are the only animal-based ingredients. But it was important to me that it wasn't harmful, of course. But first and foremost, if I'm selling a product, I want it to work well. I want to make sure what I'm putting on my brides is going to last all day.
Right. Yeah. Did you have any that didn't? Did you have any fails with it?
Not with like the final formulations, but I mean, I've gone through like a ton of trying different products, and they didn't perform well. Like maybe they were hard to blend, or they didn't last as long, or they were uncomfortable to wear. So my first thing is product, how it's performing. And my second thing is comfort. So I also hate to be uncomfortable, and especially for like a bride that has to wear, makeup, it's a long day. So I wanted to make sure that like the matte lipsticks weren't overly drying or uncomfortable, because I just know I hate that. So I wanted it to feel very luxurious while you're wearing it, and comfortable, but also stay all day.
I think that's really brilliant, because you're actually the person. It's not like you just decided, I'm going to go, come up with this product line. Like, you actually are using it and with your clients, and really getting your hands in the clay and understanding how this is going to work. I was actually watching a very interesting documentary on Marc Jacobs last night, and the models, when they do Fashion Week, they are 18 hours, of different makeup and different hair, and they're just in tears at the end of the day. Their faces hurt so bad from all the different makeups that they have to wear. Huh. Yeah. I never would have thought of it that way. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of the approach I come to. But then in doing this and creating the products, I have learned so much about ingredients. It's really opened my eyes to the United States lack of the banned ingredients. So all of my products are certified for the European Union. They're EU certified that's important because they have like, how many banned ingredients do they have, Mom? Like 1,300, and the
Wow.
FDA has like,
Yeah,
I don't want to say the wrong numbers, but it's like it's a big disparity of what our FDA allows in our cosmetics and what the rest of the world allows in theirs.
So I would imagine that the reason why they allow so many things is for shelf life, because it seems like the more natural the ingredients, the shelf life would be lesser. Is that correct or no?
That can be part of it. I mean, the European Union standards allow for a small amount of preservatives, because the bacteria, if you don't have a preservative, bacteria is harmful as well. So it's just not really even regulated in the United States, to be honest. Like,
Jeez.
nobody's really checking on anything. And as I've met other business owners and people who work in the industry and have worked for like larger cosmetic brands, I mean, I've heard some pretty crazy stories about larger cosmetic, they're out of a certain ingredient, so they threw in this other one, and just to get it, to the store, to the consumer. And how would the consumer ever know? Nobody's checking on it. So it almost feels like the honest.
So enlightening. I'm that consumer. I would not know at all. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So different stores like Whole Foods, they have their own standards for ingredients they allow in the cosmetics that they sell. And a lot of people will say, we can't take cosmetics that have less than a 6-month shelf life, because also for the retailer to like be going through inventory and switching it out and stuff like that, usually they want the shelf life to be at least a year. But then Credo Beauty, everybody has their different standards for their own business of what they allow in their cosmetics, but it's not like an overall regulation.
Very, very interesting.
At this time.
So, okay, I'm going to circle back to this. I want to get Tenli in on this conversation. First of all, Tenli, I want to start with all the initials after your name.
Yeah.
RPT, CMT, CLT. What are all of those?
Well, I am a registered physical therapist, and after that, I became certified as a lymphedema therapist. And a lymphedema therapist predominantly works with cancer patients. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then I'm also a certified massage therapist.
Which is why you're so fabulous. So, I mean, the physical therapy part, really, you've helped me so much. So, okay, now let's talk about what you've created. You've created this luxury skincare line. So let's talk about that.
Well, at this point, we just launched the beginning of April. So right now we only have 2 products. We have a facial cleansing oil and an oil-based serum. And then we also sell an organic bamboo cotton face cloth to use with the cleansing oil.
Okay, so that all sounds so counterintuitive to me, to wash your face with oil. So can you kind of just explain to me what the benefits of that would be, and why it's a better way to wash your face?
Well, basically, in a nutshell, like attracts like, which means that oil will attract other oil. There are certain oils, particularly castor oil and jojoba oil, which have very good cleansing properties. And when you apply different oils to your face, it attracts the dirty oil that's there. It picks that up and it replaces the dirt with good cleansing ingredients, different antioxidants and inflammatory properties. So it's sort of like an exchange, and it cleans your face very well, but it also moisturizes it in the process. And a lot of estheticians will tell you that it's really good for your skin, and people with acne have very good success with this way of washing your face, which does sound odd that people with oily skin would wash their face with oil, but it's actually a great way to wash your face for everybody.
You were the first time I ever heard of it. And then I was talking to, my daughters who are all in their early, just 20, and they're like, oh yeah, like they knew all about it. I was like, oh, okay. I am very late to this party and did not know about this. So I know that for you, it's also really important that you have all natural ingredients. Was this something that when you came up, what made you come up with the idea to do this? Why? What's your why?
Well, actually, it started when I was working with cancer patients. And I had several of my patients who were complaining about trying to find a natural deodorant because their oncologist didn't want them using antiperspirants anymore. And they were not finding anything that was effective. So just in an effort to help them, I started doing some research on my own and just started going down the Google rabbit hole and realizing that there are so many products out there, not just antiperspirants, but all kinds of personal care products that have ingredients that have been shown to be harmful in different ways. And just through my research, I decided to try and start experimenting and see if I could figure out how to make some things on my own. As a result of that, I started reading some books and then started taking classes, and it just became really a passion. And I started to think that, if some of these products are not good for people with cancer, they're probably not good for anybody. And
right.
exactly. More mindful of what we're putting on our skin because our skin absorbs things.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of morphed from that.
Wow. This is really eye-opening. Jeez. I want to go wash my face really good.
When my mom first said, "Hey, I made this oil facial cleanser," I had the same reaction as you. I was like, "What? That's so weird. Like, what are you talking about?" Like,
oh, good. Glad I'm not the only one who thought that was weird.
Yeah. And at that time I'd been a cosmetologist for, 10 years. And, but I mean, ever since I've been washing my face, I've been using that product for over 2 years now. And my skin has never felt so good, been so clean. It's amazing, but I had the same reaction. I'm like, that seems so odd, but works.
Yeah, no, that's why I wanted you to explain it, because it absolutely makes sense once you explain it to somebody. But it's almost like you guys have to re-educate the public on a better way to do something, and that's okay. That's what makes your product unique and in demand. So it's just an educational process, which is helpful. And I really like that both of you have created products that were spin-offs off of something that you are already doing and seeing a missing piece that you could fill. I think that's brilliant. And that's what a true entrepreneur is all about, is seeing the problem and coming up with the solution. So I really, really like that whole story. And thank you for sharing that, both of you. I want to hear now a little bit about how it became a mother-daughter team. So when you kind of came up with a perfect balance to each other, really, like Ryan was saying, that your cleansing oil is perfect for taking off makeup and her clients. So of course it all goes nicely together. But as a mother, you decided a mother-daughter team to market together. Is that correct?
Well, what actually, Ryan, was the big push for me to even start this business. I had been making this product for a while, and she was using it and I was using it and a few other people were. But at the age of 62, I really wasn't thinking about starting a new business, but she was very encouraging. And it was her suggestion that I do this. And So that was really how it started. And
She's nicely saying I forced her. I basically
well, and also I like how she throws out the number 62, but she looks like she's 25. So
I know.
It's like if we could all look like you at 62 and run those marathons, I would be quite happy.
I'll use all the products. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me all of those products.
Yeah.
Well,
and it wasn't just the facial oil that my mom had been making. She'd been making her own things for years, like lotions and everything. She'd be like, try this. I made this. I made deodorant. I made, I grew broccoli sprouts and she's always making stuff. So
that's great. I really, really like that. So, are they two separate businesses or is House of the Rozetree the umbrella to where all these different products will land?
Well, they're two separate businesses, but House of the Rozetree does sell the facial cleansing oil and the serum on their website. And then I have my own website as well that has some blog posts and some more in-depth information about the products and ingredients.
I like that. That's really great. We will link all of that information too in the show notes. Go ahead.
They have slightly different ethos. Because House of the Rozetree, my dream for that is for it to be more of a beauty brand that houses like other indie beauty brands. Like, so eventually I would like to sell other companies' products as well, like how we're selling my mom's. But also, so House of the Rozetree, my maiden name, mom's last name, Van Rozeboom, it means, Van Rozeboom in Dutch means House of the Rozetree. So that's where the name came from. And so,
that.
Yeah, so we're like sister companies.
Yeah, sure. Nothing wrong with that. That's a really great plan. So how has it been like to work together as mother and daughter?
Well, we've always been a team. We're mother-daughter, so.
Well, not all mother-daughters can say that.
That's true. Very well. I think we really complement each other. I come from an artistic point of view, and my mom is very science-based. So I feel like we fill each other's, what the other person is lacking. We complement each other in that way. So I'm able to help her with marketing and graphics and technology, and she has every answer to any ingredient question I always have. And she's like definitely like the science researcher.
Right.
So what would you say, Mom?
Well, I think one of the things that's been really nice for me is just having another person that gets it, because I don't know anybody else personally that's doing what I'm doing, both as far as formulating, but also having a startup online business. And so we've gone to a couple of skincare conferences together, which was great to bounce off ideas off each other and just to share frustrations and goals. It's just really nice to have somebody that I can share that with that understands what I'm talking about.
Sure. Yeah. I know my daughter is a graphic designer, and it's so lovely when I can talk to her and we speak the same language. Like we were like talking one day about some things in Photoshop, and her boyfriend was like, "You guys are talking a whole different language." Like, it really is a different language. and it's so nice to have that, where you can have that bounce with each other, and not only frustrations but successes too. So I see lots of great successes for both of you in the future. So speaking of the future, I kind of I liked how you touched on your bigger vision, Ryan, and I wanted to kind of hear where both of you think what's the vision for like 3 years from now? Where do you think your companies will be? Let's start with you, Ryan.
Well, we're currently living in the COVID-19 world. So
true.
We're still doing the shelter at home. So
hopefully 3 years from now, that will be over.
Right. Which, I'm sure it will be, but it has changed my perspective on it's given me a lot of time to think about, like,
Sure.
what will the world look like and what will people need and where will they be shopping? I would love to have a brick and mortar one day and, sell my products and offer beauty services and sell mom's products. And like I said, I imagine it being kind of like a Sephora, but of only indie beauty.
Ooh.
And all these conferences that my mom and I have been going to, there is so much independent cosmetics out there. People make incredible things. So I would love to have it be a place where people can come and get those really special products. And indie beauty is really special because you can talk to the person who made the actual product.
Mm-hmm.
So you know where your product is coming from. And that's kind of what I see. I don't know if that would be 3 years because I have little kids, but I imagine I would like to start branching out of lip products more. I would like to have a full makeup line, but always keep it very concise, just like the, essentials, but like be able to do a full makeup application with my products. But I do have 2 little kids, so I'm trying to just take my time.
I would highly recommend that because before you know it, they're in college. It feels like it's never going to end, but it ends really fast. So that sounds wonderful. How about you, Tenli? What's your plan?
Well, in 3 years, I'll be 67, so I'm hoping just to be alive. That would be my
again with the numbers. Oh my gosh! I wish you guys could see how fit this woman is.
You're gonna outlive us all, Mom.
Jeez.
But in addition to that, having just launched this company, frankly, I haven't quite gotten over the newly launched business issues. So I think, though, in the next 3 years, I would like to have at least 3 more products on the website. And I would like to be in a couple of local stores. And my ultimate goal would be to be able to get my products into one of the bigger natural cosmetic chains. They're kind of like Sephora, but they're all natural products. Credo and Folane are the 2 that come to mind. And if I could get my products onto those sites, that would be really amazing.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to do a follow-up interview in 3 years. And how big and broad your brands have gone, and has really, it's going to be really, really good. So I love this. I'm just smiling ear to ear. That's what kind of I lost a little words there, but because I'm smiling so big. But I want to now just kind of wrap things up by asking you both individually, what would be your best business advice to somebody who is just starting out? They have an idea to launch a product, and they're just getting started on their journey. What would be your advice to them? Let's start with you, Ryan.
To somebody that's just starting to launch a product.
And they're young, like they're just newly out of college, and they're like where you were, and you were like, I'm going to start a makeup line.
I would just say, my advice would be just go for it. Just one step at a time. Just take it. What is the next step? Just one thing at a time. Be patient too. And just have integrity with what you're creating, and believe in your vision. And because there's a lot of information you learn along the way, and it can get confusing. So just always circle back to your why and why you wanted to do it in the first place, and don't lose sight of that.
That's really, really good to know what your core values are and why you've chosen to go on this journey. That's great advice. How about you, Tenli?
Well, I think a couple things. Number one, there may be a lot of people that are already doing what you're doing, and that can be a hindrance to some people that somebody else is already doing it. But nobody is going to do it exactly the way that you're doing it. There's always going to be something different about the way that you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have to offer is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would say is you don't have to know everything to start, because you're going to make mistakes along the way and you're going to have failures, but that's how you learn and that's how you get better. And I'm sure even you would say that if you go back and look at the artwork that you first started selling when you first began and what your artwork is like now, it's probably a lot different, right? A lot better now. And I think that's true of everybody and everything that they do, that you're never going to know all the things right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to start and you'll
Mm-hmm.
get better as you go.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And to enjoy that learning process is really kind of the fun part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. The fun and frustrating, the best and the worst. It's a
At
fun
least you
roller
have your
coaster.
mom and you have your daughter to kind of like, bounce it off with. That's
Yeah.
well, gosh, you guys,
Absolutely.
this was so really super interesting, very educational, and it was really a pleasure to finally get to talk to both of you. And I can't wait to try all of the products, and I can't wait for this COVID thing to be over so I can physically go and meet you, Ryan.
Yes.
And,
Likewise.
yeah. So thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this podcast and you'd like to support it even more, you can join me over on patreon.com/MariRobeson and become a patron of mine. If you're a patron of mine, you'll receive bonus episodes every month, only for patrons. You'll also receive 20% off all the merchandise in my online shop, marirobeson.bigcartel, and you will be receiving free printables every month that will be of my artwork, and they're some really fun things. You can follow along on Instagram and you can see what I'm creating just for my patrons. I would deeply appreciate it. It would help me keep the lights on, and it would help me pay all the fees that it takes to put together a podcast like this so that I can keep supporting all the artists, keep bringing you great information, keep paying it forward to the next generation of artists. It's just a wonderful thing, and I would really deeply appreciate your support.